I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This one's wife. Harry, the nobody. Harry is a prince. He was born a prince, and with that has come status. With that has come privilege. He's not a particularly intelligent individual. He's not a particularly inspiring individual. But he recognized and understood that he had a role to play with regard to service, and he went about that, particularly showing an interest in respect of charities in Africa, where he enjoyed rolling up his sleeves and getting stuck in. He was largely well liked by people. They saw him as an individual that had had a tough time as a consequence of the loss of his mother, and he'd gained this reputation of being the playboy prince, the affable ginge, a degree of contrast to his more serious older brother, who was, of course, lined up to become the King of England. But Harry, having once been the person that was prominent, has been relegated to the position of being a nobody. This is not a surprise. This has occurred because he's married to a narcissist. The narcissist has to ensure that he or she comes first, because anything other threatens that need for control and also the provision of fuel. If you're second, people are going to be dealing with the person who is first, and that means that their fuel is going to that person, even though they may not be a narcissist. The fact is that the narcissist not being first isn't receiving the fuel to which they are entitled. This, naturally, is a problem. And therefore, this is why the narcissist, with sharpened elbows, with brass neck, and sheer gall, invariably places themselves at the heart of the action. With this one's wife, it's all about, look at me. No, not him, not her, me. This is why she seeks out that camera lens with laser-like precision and stares down it. This is why she ensures she's at the centre of all of the photographs, so it's all about her. This is why we've seen in the past that she interrupts a handshake that Harry is undertaking to hug somebody, basically muscling him out of the way so that she becomes prominent. It's why we've seen her ensure that she reminds Harry, as we saw footage on the Nigerian tour of, I'm here, make sure I'm introduced. It's how we've seen in the past, when they were at an event, that she essentially decided, I'm now going to talk Harry, and she moves in front of him, ensuring that she is at the centre of attention of the group, with Harry stood in the background, looking lost, looking like a bit apart. She has done this time and time again, and she has conditioned him into the position of accepting that he is second place. There will, of course, be instances where Harry will complain about this, not in public, but behind closed doors, and there will be arguments about this where he will say, I do wish you'd stop pushing me out of the way. What are you talking about, she'll say. I don't do that. Denial, the first line of the twin lines of the narcissistic defence. Yes, you do, he'll say. Earlier on, I was talking to those men and you decided to get in front. Oh, well, Harry, if you can't cope with a wife that's independent and able to stand on her own 2 feet, maybe you should have chosen somebody else, a little wallflower like Kate instead. Triangulation and dismissiveness. This one's wife won't say, oh yes, I absolutely do have to be the one that's first because I need control and fuel. She doesn't realise that's what she requires. But she must relegate Harry to the position of a nobody to ensure that she is the one that is prominent, thus aiding the assertion of control and the drawing of fuel. She's able to do this because she has no emotional empathy for Harry. She's able to do this because of her rampant sense of entitlement. She's able to do this because she has no sense of accountability. Her narcissism drives her to be first and foremost, and as a consequence of that, this means that Harry is regularly relegated. And we're going to see another example of this with a short piece of footage which shows us so much of the dynamic between the two of them, taken from the recent Nigeria trip. Here it is.
Don't cross this line. Won't cross. Okay, stop pushing. Okay. Won't cross. Okay, stop pushing. Okay.
Shameless, isn't she? As you can see, there's everybody lined up for a photo shoot. And everybody, apart from Prince Harry, is stood shoulder to shoulder in a line. And as they're getting organised to have their photograph taken, you can see that Harry recognises that he's stood once again behind his wife, like her hairdresser, on the cover of Time magazine. And he notes that he needs to sort of get into the line. Thus, it's evident that he says something, probably budge up. It's brief, and you notice that this one's wife does turn her head as if he said something. He attempts to move forward, but she does this peculiar, almost jogging on the spot routine, where all she does is turn slightly and doesn't actually move, which means that he can't gain admittance, and you can see he looks pissed off. The facial expression that he gives as a consequence of being treated this way is entirely indicative of how he's made to feel. Of course, he's not going to shove her out of the way. He's not going to make a scene about it because they're in public. He knows better than to do that, both in terms of public image and, of course, how she would react. But this is an excellent example of the way that she always has to be first, the way that she, of course, regards Harry as a nobody, that for all of the talk about loving and caring for him, it's actions such as these which demonstrate what truly is going on. You are to stand behind me. You are second best. No, I'm not moving out of the way. I've got a prominent position here at the centre of the photograph. I will make it appear like I've moved for you, but actually I'm not going to do so. This just sums up the way that this one's wife regards her husband. This sums up the way that she always has to be at the centre, so that she can control people and draw in the fuel. Harry is made to look a right plum, stood there trying to get into the line and failing miserably. Meanwhile, this one's wife just stands there with her stupid grin plastered across her face, soaking up the fuel from the press pack that's in front of them and revelling in the attention that she is receiving. She demonstrates she doesn't give a fig about Harry, and once again, Harry's facial expression is one of being cheesed off, yet he continues to accept being treated this way. This is demonstrative of the way that the narcissist treats the intimate partner primary source victim, namely, you don't matter only to the extent of what you do for me. And here, what you do for me is not get in the way when I'm soaking up the limelight. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.